So tomorrow I have to leave for Japan. I'm going for work. I'm going to be there through Friday, so tomorrow's Sunday. I'm leaving tomorrow morning around 9 a.m. out of Boston Airport, Boston Logan. I'm flying to Detroit, and then I'm connecting from Detroit onto a Japan airline and flying from Detroit to Tokyo, where I will then transfer onto a smaller aircraft and transfer from Tokyo to Nagoya. I am staying in Nagoya in the Fujigaoka neighborhood, which is where the office that I'll be working in is. Leaving Boston Sunday, tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. and arriving at Nagoya Airport around 10 p.m. Japan time on Monday evening. So it seems like something like 30 plus hours of travel, but really there's some time change thrown in there. It is a lot of flying and, layovers and stuff like that. But once I get there Monday evening, I'll settle into my hotel, which is a quick subway ride from Nagoya Airport to the Fujigaoka neighborhood. Then my hotel is actually only about 2 blocks from the office that I'll be working in, so I'll be able to walk back and forth, which is nice. I'll take Tuesday to sort of recover and maybe do a little sightseeing, get some ramen, stuff like that. And then Wednesday, Thursday, I'll be working in that office with sort of a partner company of my company, going through some service training, doing some service work on some of the systems that they have in their warehouse there. And then Friday, I'll be flying home around 1:40 in the afternoon on Friday. I'll make my way back to Nagoya Airport. I'll fly from Nagoya to Seoul in South Korea, and then from Seoul to Atlanta in the US, and then from Atlanta back to Boston, arriving home in Boston that same day because time change works in my favor on Friday, flying home. So I leave 1:40 in the afternoon from Nagoya. I get home around 10:30 at night in Boston. Then I have to, go through customs, get my bag, and drive home to my house, which is about 45 minutes from the airport. So I'll probably end up getting home around midnight. So that's pretty much all of next week. I'm gonna try my best to get some pictures or some footage, or maybe even record a few of these from Japan, from my hotel room, or just walking around the city, maybe get some nice slow motion B-roll, try to get some cinematic stuff, like use my 35 millimeter out in the wild for one of the first times in a situation that's really worth shooting, to see if I can get some cool stuff out of that. But essentially expect to see nothing from me next week because I'm going to be doing a lot of travel and recuperating from that travel and then working in a foreign office. And after work, you go out to dinner with your coworkers and stuff like that. So I'm sure I'll be busy all week. And then I'll be wiped out when I get home on Friday. So maybe Saturday I'll get something up. We'll see. But anyways, just wanted to give you guys a heads up on that. Other than that, a couple of other interesting updates that I'll make longer videos on later. Diet is still going well. Have had to make even more changes to the diet, but for a good reason. My son, my wife and I wanted to sign my son up for Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. We happen to have Daniel Gracie Academy of the Gracie family, if you know anything about Jiu Jitsu, about 15 minutes or 12 minutes from our house. And so we signed him up for a trial class. He tried it. At first, he didn't love it, but then when he got to the actual rolling part, he really enjoyed it. I took him to a second class, and at that class, the main sort of like professor of the school, the head coach of the school, a guy named Frankie Passo, I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce his last name, a black belt that was made a black belt by the Gracie family. He basically said, are you going to try it out? Are you interested in joining? And so he invited me to an adult class. I went to the adult class. I've been interested in jiu-jitsu for a while. I've just never figured out how to make it work. It's expensive, and if you want to train, you really need to train like 3, 4, 5 days a week to make it worth your while. And we already have such a busy schedule. But he pointed out that if you already have somebody enrolled, which my son was at that point, you get a discount for enrolling more members of that family. And then on top of that, they have morning, noon, and evening adult classes pretty much every day of the week. And they have a WhatsApp group that they use to constantly communicate, like, hey, who's up for an open mat? Or like, who wants to come by and do a little practice? And so it's very easy to fit in training no matter when you need to fit it in. And so that was really convenient. So I did a trial class. I loved it. I went through a second, a third, and a fourth class, all with gi. I haven't done any no gi yet, although I am interested to try it. Have been loving it. It's a hell of a workout. It's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. And I've played rugby, I've played roller derby. I've done what you would consider aggressive full body cardio and strength combination workouts, but nothing that requires the endurance and stamina that jiu-jitsu requires. But I've been loving it. I have not gone since Monday, this past Monday. Today is now Saturday. I think it was Monday. I might have gone Tuesday, I can't recall. But that is because during open roll at the end of class, I did my first round and it was great. I think I tapped out a white belt, which was nice. I was bigger than him, so I probably just muscled through it. Then my second roll was with a blue belt, but he was less than half my size, and I think he was already exhausted from his first roll, so I was actually able to dominate him a few times. Probably nothing but just me being heavier and pancaking on top of him. So not him. I'm sure he would, like, legitimately would have killed me if he wasn't completely gassed. And then third round was against another white belt, and we were having a really good roll. Like, I had him in a couple of different choke locks, and I basically had him in control the whole time, but he was defending really well. I couldn't lock anything in on him. And at one point, he rolled. He did, like, you know, a front roll to get out of whatever hold I had him in. I think I had him around like one arm and the neck, and I was trying to lock that in, and I couldn't. So he rolled to get out of it. I ended up on my back. He was sort of above me. And I pushed off and he rolled again to sort of like move into something like a side control. And he ended up rolling so that his weight sort of on one of his butt cheeks came down right on the side of my ribs, left side of my ribs. And I distinctly heard come out of my ribs. Like, it sounded like somebody cracked their knuckles, but it was my ribs. And to me, I was like, okay, maybe he broke my ribs. He's not that big. He was, I would guess he's maybe between 160 and 180. I'm 260 something right now. So not that your weight really depends on how strong your bones are, but like, he's not as big as me, and he didn't come down from like standing. He kind of like rolled, so maybe like mid-height onto my ribs, but that's still a big impact. And so I, you know, got his attention. I said, oh, hold on a minute. Kind of half knocked the wind out of me, but more so I noticed that cracking pressure. And so like I sat up straight, kind of caught my breath for a minute, took a few deep breaths, like, okay, no severe pain in the chest. Normally when you have a broken rib, you get a sharp pain in your chest when you take a deep breath, and I didn't have that. So I was like, okay, maybe he just cracked them, like the cartilage, like when you crack your knuckles. But it felt kind of like achy, very lightly, but achy. I could tell I got whacked, you know? And on top of that, earlier in that class, while warming up, I had done a front roll, because we do front rolls, back rolls, butt scoots, all these different things, you know, hip escapes, shrimping, stuff like that. And I went to go do a front roll, and I did not properly tuck my neck and my shoulder, and I just slammed my left shoulder into the mat from standing, going into a front roll, which hurt. So I got home that night, and my left shoulder was just killing me. And I was like, okay, I didn't break anything, but it, like, even to lift, it hurt. I was like, I probably bruised the bone or all the muscle around the bone, so that's gonna hurt. My ribs really didn't feel like anything. They weren't even really noticeably sore. So I was like, okay, maybe it was just a cracking the knuckles kind of thing. Awesome. I asked ChatGPT a couple of quick basic questions. It said, yeah, it doesn't sound like you broke any ribs. It sounds like you maybe irritated the muscle connective muscle between the ribs, or maybe like flexed some of the cartilage a little too hard. But you don't seem to have any of the symptoms of a broken rib or broken ribs. That night sleeping, I took some painkillers. I put a heating pad on my shoulder. It really hurt. I couldn't sleep on that side. By the time I woke up the next morning, it was better. But midway through that day, I started to notice, though my shoulder was feeling better, my ribs were starting to hurt more. And so I got to the end of that day. I took a couple more painkillers, you know, basic like Advil, ibuprofen, nothing crazy, like a combination of acetaminophen and ibuprofen. We have this thing called, I think it's Advil or Tylenol dual action. It's both combined. It's like 250 milligrams of each. I took a couple of those, nothing crazy, and I went to bed. By the time I woke up the next morning, my shoulder was feeling almost 100%, but my ribs were really starting to ache. No bruising, no bumps, nothing. If you don't feel anything strange, nothing's wiggling around or clicking or anything like that. No grinding, no strange sensations, other than it feels like I have this really aggressive knot right in the side of my ribs. And I know, like, when you break your ribs, you get that sharp breathing pain, and usually you get bruising on the rib cage. I don't have any of that. And so went through Tuesday and Wednesday, shoulder got better, ribs got worse. And what makes this, you know, compounds on top of this is I've had a head cold, and so I keep coughing and sneezing. Not severely, like it's nothing crazy. I haven't even really had to take Dayquil. It's just a little congestion and the occasional tickle in my throat. But that cough and sneeze causes a pressure on my ribs. That pain kind of swells when I cough or sneeze. And so that's probably irritating it and making it worse. And so by the time I've gotten to today, Saturday, it's still quite painful. Like, there's a serious, like, noticeable aching that swells into a painful knot when I bend a certain way, if I have to bend over to pick something up, if I lean a certain way. I can still take deep breaths, but by the time I get to the fullness of that breath, I do start to feel some pain and pressure and that knotting feeling on my side. So I'm starting to wonder if I did break a rib or fracture a rib or multiple ribs. I'm not sure. But I also know that with rib injuries, there really isn't anything to do. They can't like splint or cast your ribs. It's just like, oh yeah, you broke a rib, it's gonna suck until it heals. And so I have this trip to Japan, not going to be doing jiu-jitsu through that. Haven't done jiu-jitsu the last 3 or 4 days. I'm hoping, really hoping, that by the time I get back from the trip, it's gone. I'm going to bring my painkillers, my basic Tylenol painkillers. I'm going to bring some Dayquil, the pill form, so that I can travel with it in my my carry-on bag. I've checked on chat and it says those can go through, into Japan, no problem. They can go through Korea, no problem. As long as they don't have pseudoephedrine in the Dayquil, which they don't. They have they have something else. I forget what it is. But it won't be a problem as long as it's not the liquid form, because too much liquid, you can't go through airports. So I'm going to bring that stuff. I'm going to take it easy in Japan. Obviously, I'm not going to be doing any jiu-jitsu in Japan, although that would be super cool. I wouldn't do that unless I was more experienced. And hopefully by the time I get back, I'm feeling better. If not, I might go to an urgent care and just be like, hey, what does it cost for like an out-of-pocket, just quickly x-ray my side and tell me if I actually have a broken rib. And then if I do, I can just say like, okay, how long does it take for a broken rib to heal? And I'll not go to jiu-jitsu until that's done, which sucks because I literally just signed up. I had 4 classes. I love it. I just got my gi because they had to order one for me because they didn't have my size in. My belt should be coming in like a week because I also didn't have my belt to fit my gi. And so that sucks if that's the case, but maybe I'll come back from Japan and it'll feel fine. And it's just muscle irritation and swelling from the impact. But yeah, I'm not upset about it. Everybody's like, wow, this sounds really dangerous. You've only been doing it for like a week and a half and you're already hurt. And I was like, well, it's a thing my body's never done that I don't yet know how to do properly. And it was, I think, a freak accident. Like I could have gone to the gym to lift weights and dropped a weight on my foot and broken, all the bones in my foot as a freak accident, having been lifting weights for years. So I'm not worried about it. I don't think this is the kind of thing that happens every day or every week when you train Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. But because I've started training that, I had just made a few changes to the diet, which was I'm not going to fast through the weekend. I need that to recover if I'm training Monday through Friday, which is what I was aiming to do. I need as much food as I can get and still lose weight. So I've upped my daily intake to around 1,500, which is still like probably close to half of what I would need to sustain my current weight. So it's still a definite caloric deficit. And then while on days when I'm training jiu-jitsu, I'm probably burning between 500 and 800, maybe 1,000 calories in a 60 to 90 minute class, where a good chunk of that class is just non-stop cardio, strength, endurance, stamina, rolling. So yeah, not worried about consuming too many calories. I've allowed myself to start having some Coke Zeros, just as sort of like a gift to myself of like, hey, you made it through jiu-jitsu class and you're going to eat your bowl of chicken and potatoes now. So you can have a Coke Zero. But I'm still drinking tons of water to stay hydrated. Because I stopped going to the gym, I did stop, and I shouldn't have done this. I don't know why I did. I did stop taking my pre-workout, my creatine, and my multivitamin. I need to add back in the creatine and the multivitamin. I don't know if it's a good idea to take pre-workout before going to jiu-jitsu, because yes, it might give you some additional energy, but you need to be like focused and calm. And I feel like that is the antithesis of what happens when you take pre-workout. You almost get like too much frantic energy and you don't want that. So I think I'm gonna hold off on that for now, even once I do get back to training, which hopefully will be soon. Like I said, have the head cold that I'm dealing with. Hopefully that'll be gone in a few more days. Gonna be in Japan. Had a great Christmas, had a great New Year's, enjoyed myself eating on Christmas, enjoyed eating New Year's Eve. Didn't eat anything crazy New Year's Day. I did have some like healthy food yesterday and today because I don't want to go out, buy and cook a bunch of food for me and then leave to Japan for 5 or 6 days because it's just going to go bad in the fridge. And then while I'm in Japan, I'm probably going to eat whatever they bring me out to eat plus ramen. Like normally, you'll go, like I said, you'll go out to dinner after work with the guys from the office, your coworkers, and they'll drink a bunch. I don't drink, but they drink, and you get food, and you do barbecue or ramen or whatever. I'm gonna get as much ramen as I can because I love it, and that'll be that. And then when I come home, it'll be back to the diet and hopefully back to training. But yeah, I think that's all the updates I have. This was meant to be just a video to say I'm going to Japan. I probably won't be posting anything in the next week, but there's a bunch of updates at the same time. Anyways, hope you guys have been enjoying. If you want to see more of these videos, feel free to subscribe. If you want to leave a like or a dislike to let me know how you feel about this video, even though it's basically just an update video, feel free to. If you have any questions or thoughts or comments you want to share below, feel free to, and I will respond to you. I love responding to comments, even when they're negative. I think I've only gotten 1 or 2 negative comments so far, and they were, delightful. One of them referred to me as a hipster and asked why I talk this way. and why I'm so pretentious and why do I wear these clothes. And I said, this is just how I talk. I didn't know I was being pretentious. I just like to talk, and so I'm talking. And I speak this way. This is just me. I'm not trying to speak any certain way. These are the only clothes I own. I was like, if you want to go look at one of the other videos I have earlier on the channel, I explain how I got rid of all of my clothes and bought a classic 1940s inspired wardrobe because I wanted to dress more mature for my age and for the fact that I'm a father and a husband and I'm almost 40 years old and I didn't want to look like a college kid anymore. And so I went and bought a bunch of new, mature, sort of classic looking clothing to build out my wardrobe. And so this is just how I dress because these are all the clothes I own and I like it. He referred to me as a hipster. I don't know what's hip about the way that I look right now. I don't look, I don't look modern. I don't look like I'm trying to be anything that I'm not. I feel like I'm dressed like a guy in his 40s who's a dad and who is like hanging out in his basement making videos to like a random public. I feel like that's very much how I'm dressed. I'm not like going to a metal show in this outfit because it's ironic or something like that. I work an office job at a desk. So it's like, that's why I wear this. I wear a business suit because I work at a business at a desk, at a cubicle or, you know, wherever, or when I'm flying. So he also recommended that I need a pipe to match this drip, which I don't smoke, but I suggested, maybe I could buy a bubble pipe and just use that in videos. That might be fun. But yeah, anyways, the comments are always fun, whether they're negative or positive. Anyways, I hope you guys have been enjoying these videos. I will see you in about a week when I get back, hopefully with some nice footage, if not, at least with some new videos. But yeah, other than that, I will see you in the next one.